feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to the podcast party. You're listening to Speak Now Pro Wrestling here with myself, Denise Salcedo, on the channel, the YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen or watch this podcast. And we are here to talk about the May 30th edition of WWE NXT. It is the fallout from Battleground, and we got quite a bit to get into here today. I legitimately thought, first I thought, okay, there's a show, was okay. It gave us a couple of things to talk about. But then by the end of the show, I realized we actually have quite a bit of items to actually get into here today. So we are going to go ahead and talk about a lot that went down on NXT, make some predictions on where we think certain things are going. A big topic for tonight is going to be free agency, because that is also something that apparently we're going to be talking about a lot here today. But first and foremost, thank you so much to everybody who is here right now on the channel. Just a heads up to everyone, I'm so happy to be back starting this brand new week, this brand new slate of Speak Now Pro Wrestling shows. I am going to be live, obviously, right now on Tuesday. And then tomorrow I will be back to talk about AEW Dynamite. And then for the first time in 2 weeks, I will be back this Friday to cover Smackdown here on the channel. So the Smackdown show on Friday returns to this week. So thank you so much for everybody who's been patient for that show. Fridays is a little bit more difficult, especially this month, because I just had a lot happening because of Double or Nothing, my birthday, and just Friday shows kind of got left out in the cold. But the Friday show does return this Friday. Also, Las Vegas was just there for Double or Nothing, and I'm bringing this up because I'm so thankful to be back in LA and be back with very, very good Wi-Fi, because my hotel sucked and had terrible Wi-Fi. So I'm so happy to be back here in LA, in my home, in my studio, to be able to talk about wrestling. But most importantly, if you haven't already, and if you are a fan of AEW, all of my media scrums are up on the channel. And I promise you, you will always love my videos the best, because I make sure to get some good, appealing angles. I'm always front row, and I make sure that you guys can hear, the questions good and all of that. And so I think you guys will enjoy them. We got to hear from Bryan Danielson, Tony Khan, Tony Storm, Chris Statlander, MJF, Orange Cassidy, and those are all up right now on the channel. Please check those out, everyone. That is how I make my money back. I foot my own bill. I was just talking about this yesterday with Sean on the Raw Post show. So the way that I do make my money back is by, you guys watching those videos on YouTube. So let's get to this, everybody. We got so much to get into, and everyone here is sending in a lot of comments. So let's get into our super chats. By the way, super chats are the best way to support this podcast. Keep me funded. We got our first super chat of the day. This is from Ryan Pregler, who says, Tony D has not been charged with a crime and is being held illegally. He has had his rights stolen from him for 2 weeks. Where is smart Mark Sterling? Tony D, by the way, we didn't get too much today, because last week he was being interrogated, and then he ended up being arrested, and then today we got the mugshots, and so that's pretty much all we got from Tony D. But we got the mugshots. He looks good. He didn't have an ugly mugshot. It could have been a really ugly, terrible mugshot, but it was actually a pretty good one. So we did get that today. But yes, free Tony D, hashtag free Tony D. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, love the fact that WWE actually used the free agent thing from the draft to bring both Mustafa Ali and Baron Corbin to NXT. Smartly used free agent role. We will get into that in just a second. I will be honest with you and tell everybody here right off the bat that I completely forgot who was even a free agent after this draft. The only person that I remembered that was a free agent was Brock Lesnar, and that was literally it. Everybody else was just a blur in my memory. So yeah, Heidi Ho sends in a super chat saying it's Tiffy time. By the way, I have an idea for whenever I talk about Tiffany Stratton that I'm going to do in upcoming Tuesday shows. And I was going to do it on today's show, but I ran out of time. But thank you so much to Heidi Ho for sending in this generous super chat as well. And I love it. Everybody here on the chat is like, free Tony D. All right, let's get to it, everybody. Also, thank you so much to Zeno Hour, who says, great week work over the weekend, Denise. I appreciate it, man. Really, I do. So let's get to this show. Let's talk about what actually happened. I want to kick things off with a match that finally delivered. We have been talking about this feud for quite some time now because that is Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne. So this was a feud that was very personal because they used to be friends. They were all part of Toxic Attraction along with Mandy Rose. They were a big focal point on the start of NXT 2.0. They were tag team champions. They were besties. And then this feud, they broke up. It became very personal with us learning a lot about Gigi Dolin's life and the way that she grew up, and Jacy, and that becoming part of the storyline, and Jacy Jayne kind of shoving it in her face, and it got very, very personal. However, we always had really good back and forth between Jacy and Gigi. And by that, I mean the promo work. The promo work between them was always magnificent, always stellar. You got behind both girls in different ways, right? You like Jacy Jayne as a heel. You got behind Gigi Dolin as a babyface. It was hard not to. And so all of the promo work between both of these ladies was always top notch. However, the first two matches that we got with Jacy and Gigi weren't exactly meeting, I would say, the expectations of the level of the stories that we were getting between them. I did not think that the first two matches delivered, and we spoke about that. A lot of people shared similar feelings regarding the first two matches between both of them. However, today we finally got a weaponized steel cage match, and a lot of people last week ahead of NXT Battleground were asking, why isn't this match on Battleground? And I completely agreed with everybody then that I did think this match should have been on Battleground. And after watching this match tonight, I 100% agree that this match should have been on Battleground. And I got to catch up with Battleground today. So I will talk about that throughout the show since I haven't been able to share my thoughts on that. But I really do think that this match was finally the fight that we needed to see between Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne. They actually went completely for it here. It was so entertaining. It opened up the show. I actually thought that it was going to main event too, but it ended up being the opener of the night. And what we got here was pretty good. So Jacy attacked Gigi before she even got into the steel cage. I liked that. That was good. Get it started, get it going hot. That was definitely fun to see. Immediately, Jacy Jayne starts going at Gigi Dolin and hitting her with the belt multiple times on the back, just hitting her. And then finally, Gigi gets an opportunity to return the favor and also get Jacy with that belt. She then brings out a bat that is wrapped in thorns, and we always see Gigi Dolin come out with her rose, and she has the little thorns. And someone even asked me, I forgot if it was here on the show or on Twitter, but someone asked about, possibly her using the flower or the rose rather as a weapon, but instead she used the bat with the thorn. So that was really good. And there was a crowd shot that I wanted to make sure to talk about because there was a moment where Jacy power bombed Gigi right into a trash bin, okay? And then we went to commercial. But prior to that, there was a crowd shot of two little girls just watching the show, and they were like in amazement during this moment. And I wanted to bring it up because I've talked about this so many times, but the NXT women are literally my favorite thing to watch every week on NXT. Like, they're actually getting it pretty right with the NXT girls in terms of building up these characters, us being able to get behind some of the women that we see here. And so getting to see two young girls in the crowd being like completely blown away by the violence that they were seeing in this match, it was really freaking cool to see that. And I love moments like that. So I wanted to make sure to shout that part out because little things like that definitely matter and go a long way. But one of the things that made this match, I think what it needed to be, was that I thought they were really laying it in a lot more this time, and I don't think they really did that before, but there was a couple of times where Gigi, she would get these really high knee kicks on Jacy, and I really, really loved the way that she was laying it in. At one point, we see Jacy Jayne hit Gigi Dolin with a neck breaker onto a pile of chairs. That was a really good spot, too. They start slugging each other back and forth, just throwing rights and lefts. That was definitely fun to see. And then finally, for the actual finish of this match. We see them go to the top rope, and then Gigi ends up choke slamming Jacy Jayne into a table. And 1, 2, 3, that is the finish. That is the end. Solid stuff, man. This was definitely a win. I was a fan of this. Happy that we got the match that we needed to see, or rather the fight that we needed to see, because that's what justified this very personal feud. And so I'm excited to see what's next for Gigi Dolin. I feel like they got to make sure to keep her momentum going, because right now, coming off of this win, that was pretty damn huge. So yes, finally, the match we wanted to see. James Hammond says, no NXT in your house, question mark. I have no idea, actually. I know they are doing the Great American Bash, and when was that? I forgot they said the date, July 30th, I believe is the date for that. Should have written it down. I'm pretty sure it's July 30th. What month are we in? May, June? June 30th? Sorry, guys. I get confused with June and July all the freaking time. Heidi Ho sends in a super chat saying, there's nothing better than seeing kids enjoy wrestling. We forget that's what it's all about. And a lot of us, here's the thing, a lot of us started being wrestling fans as kids. Yeah, I don't think I would have ever just randomly started watching wrestling like at 15 or 20. Like, I was never going to start watching wrestling at that age. I started watching wrestling when I was like 8, 9 years old. According to my mom, she said I was younger, but I actually don't recall that information. I actually remember it being like 8, 9 years old, around there. And then my peak fandom was 10 years old. Like 10-year-old me was living, eat, sleep, breathing wrestling. Like, that's all I cared about. That's all I wanted to talk about. That's all I wanted to watch. That was all the VHSs that I would collect. And all I would think about was wrestling and the WWE and this and that. Like, that was literally the obsession at 10 years old. I don't think, if I wouldn't have started at such a young age, I don't think I would have been as big of a fan, and then therefore turning it into like a lifelong thing. I know certain people come in at different periods, but I feel for the most part, a lot of the fans that I talk to and fans that I see talk about wrestling have been legitimately lifelong fans since they were kids. So yes, so what I'm trying to get at here is that we want to keep things going, guys. If you are parents, if you are a parent and you have some children, make sure you're taking your kids to your local indie shows. Make sure you're taking them to whatever promotion you enjoy the most. Take them to the shows, man, because that's how they stay. That's how they become fans. That's how they get into wrestling, and we keep this thing going, guys. Don't let it die. Keep your kids watching wrestling. I know some parents are going to be, or some parents that are not wrestling fans would probably be like, how dare you promote wrestling to children? Man, get out of here. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, if Melo is him, which he is, BTW, then Jacy Jayne is not her. This feud made me believe in Gigi way more than Jacy. This feud, to me, kind of proved me right about her, some category as the outcast, sadly. So Sheldon Jackson, this is interesting because Sheldon Jackson has not been a fan of Jacy Jayne throughout this entire thing. And I remember telling you that at some point you would be, that at some point you would become a Jacy Jayne fan. It hasn't happened for you. I don't know what she has to do differently, but I am a fan of Jacy Jayne, and I think she played her role tremendously in this, because she was just supposed to go out there, be the bad guy, and help Gigi get over. And I thought that today, the way that they laid out this match, and again, all of this, the promos that they did with one another, I thought they really did those very, very well. And Jacy Jayne is still a mean girl. I'm still interested in Jacy Jayne as well as Gigi Dolin. So thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson. And I don't know, whenever it finally happens for you, whenever you finally become a Jacy Jayne fan, I'm going to be very interested in that, because I know the payoff. I'm waiting for the payoff of that. Sheldon, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Andrew Cool says, many parents feel that wrestling is a violent sport. Well, I remember, like, I don't know how many of you guys, and you guys let me know here in the comments here, but I remember my mom really, because I grew up with a single parent, but my mom, she didn't want me to be a wrestling fan. Like, she wasn't really all that, like, like she was kind of hoping that I would grow out of it, that it would just be a phase. And adults always, especially if you're a female wrestling fan, if you're a young female wrestling fan, damn, you get it even worse, okay? Y'all don't even know unless you were a young female fan. I used to get comments of adults asking me like really inappropriate stuff. They'd be like, "Oh, are you watching wrestling because you like to see the men in their underwear?" And I'd be like, "No, what the why are you asking me this?" And then there was other things that they would say that about me that because I watched wrestling, and even kids in school, that were little assholes that would pretend that they didn't watch wrestling. And this would piss me off because I remember kids back in the day would be like, "Oh, you watch wrestling? You watch the fake stuff?" And they would tease me about it, right? They would tease me about it and be little jerks. Yet, whenever something really cool happened in wrestling, perfect example, 5th grade. I was in 5th grade when we had the ring break with Brock Lesnar and the Big Show. And I remember that everybody the next day in school was talking about it. And my reaction was, man, that kid said wrestling was fake, didn't even want to watch. That kid made fun of me. And now everybody here is talking about the cool thing that happened in wrestling. So there you go. So there you go. Injured Cool, thank you so much for the super chat. I feel like people here will probably relate because this was something that I noticed always happening and stuff. But Jared says kids are awful and fake. I love kids, by the way. I just didn't love them when I was a kid. I didn't love kids when I was a kid. Love them now. But anyway, so Jacy Jayne, Gigi Dolin finally delivered. Very happy about that. All right, so now let's get into, we got a super chat here from Bruce Pritchard. Says, how is Mr. CJ Lilly doing? I'm curious, actually. I don't know if CJ Lilly is on right now, but there was some big Alexa Bliss news today, and CJ Lilly is a known Alexa Bliss fan. And we found out today that she is pregnant. She's having a baby. So clearly we're not going to be seeing her wrestle for a bit. It's going to be a while, depending, obviously, her whole entire pregnancy, right? And depending on how much time she takes off after having the baby. So yeah, I don't know how Mr. CJ Lilly is doing at this moment. If he happens to be on the screen, on the show, then I would love to hear from him. But as of right now, I don't have any idea. All right. So, and I know he's been waiting for Alexa Bliss to come on and get her groove back and all of that, but we'll see. All right. So we got a quick backstage segment between Reggie and Axiom. So really quickly, we get the explanation of why Reggie helped out Axiom. And basically, so last week when Axiom wrestled Dabba-Kato, we saw Reggie go in and help him out afterwards with after a post-match attack. And he basically tells them, I helped you out because you unmasked me. And now I feel like I'm the real me. Like I'm no longer... Basically, he's very thankful that his mask was taken off. And let me tell you, he's thankful. We're thankful. We're all thankful because that was really bad. But this was fine. I'm glad that they explained this and that they made sense of it and made Reggie seem like a human again instead of just this silly character that they were doing with him. But I think they're not letting go of the scripts thing because during this, he kept saying like, oh yeah, like my friends and family, they call me Scripps. And I'm like, I don't care. Just stick to Reggie, bro. Stick to Reggie. Let's not go back to Scripps. Let's not do that. Sheldon Jackson sends in a super chat saying, my biggest gripe currently with Jacy Jayne is the fact that when she spoke on the mic, I didn't believe a word. As a heel, I should believe what you say. Hey, man, I can't argue that. One of the things that, so John Cena did an interview with Sam Roberts about, I think, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, somewhere around there. And he talked about Austin Theory and the feud that he did with Austin Theory. And we all remembered when freaking John Cena buried the hell out of Austin Theory on that episode of Raw leading into WrestleMania, right? And one of the things that John Cena said in that interview was that he told Austin Theory immediately, he said, if you don't believe what you're doing out there, you can't expect the fans to believe it. They will see right through you. They will see right through your BS. And so there you go. Maybe she just has to hit it a little harder, believe it a little bit more. So thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for sending in your hot take. Appreciate it. Mike Parker, PWMM, sends in a generous super chat saying, I was looking to start watching wrestling when WWF toned down to specifically appeal to kids. My mom would never have signed off on me watching it if it was super violent. I got lucky that my mom didn't know a lot about what was actually happening on the actual show. I think had she seen some of the stuff that I was seeing at a certain age, I don't think she would have been so keen on it. I actually think the fact that she didn't know anything about wrestling kind of helped me out, as she was more so just concerned about like my obsession. I think she was just kind of hoping that I would, she wanted me to become a doctor. Sorry, mom. I became a pro wrestling YouTuber. We always laugh about this, by the way. It's actually really damn hilarious. Like, my mom wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. No, I'm on YouTube. Every parent's worst nightmare. Mike Parker, thank you so much for the super chat. So that's why, like, I know there's parents out here and, kids and whatever and this and that, right? And then it was like, I forgot what the hell I was going to say. I know a lot of parents try to shove careers down their kids' throats and this and that and try to make them be and do all these things, right? You got to let your kids figure it out for themselves, man. I ain't a parent, but I tell myself that if I ever become a parent, I'm going to make sure that I'm not like forcing them to do something they don't want to, because my mom sent me 7th grade. I was taking classes at Cal State LA on Saturdays, science classes, so that I could pursue a career in the medical field. My poor mother had no idea it was never going to happen. I remember showing up to the classes every week though, because they gave us every Saturday, they fed us Carl's Jr. So we'd get the breakfast sandwich with the tater tots, and then my crush was there, so that's why I showed up every Saturday, not to freaking dissect frogs and rats and stuff like that. Blech. Stephen Marchuli sends in a super chat saying wrestling fandom is one of the hardest things you will ever explain to non-fans. Yes, this is true. Like 1000% true. My very best friends in the entire world are not wrestling fans, and sometimes I feel weird talking about wrestling or even bringing it up, because I feel like they may be judging me. Even though they're not judging me, I feel like they kind of are, even though I know they're not. But the way that some people see wrestling that are non-wrestling fans, it's not always picture perfect, right? Heidi Ho sends in a super chat saying Dragon Lee really won me over this weekend. He's now my favorite luchador. Dude, Dragon Lee is incredible. He's definitely up there with a lot of guys. Big fan of his, and happy to see him. I wasn't happy to see him lose at Battleground, but whatever. Tater72 has a really funny comment saying YouTube Kid is a better career than Pornhub. Oh man. Oh no. Those are the two low options. You're either on YouTube or you're on Pornhub. Oh no. It's not good. All right. Oh man. I got to read this one too from Tim Weininger, YouTube member, who says, I agree. Agree with Steven, says Tim. My wife doesn't understand why I love wrestling, yet she still watches the Hallmark Channel 24/7. And no offense to people that watch the Hallmark Channel, but I've seen the trailers for those movies, man, and they are corny, cheesy AF, man. Some of those look really freaking bad. So no, I do not want to be judged for watching wrestling. If you're out there watching these corny Christmas love stories on Hallmark, no offense. All right, so let's see. Well, let's press on, guys. I'm just going to continue on here and all of this. All right, so let's get into our next match here, and let's talk about the NXT North American Champion Wes Lee and Tyler Bate going up against the Dyad, because this all kind of turned into something else that we need to talk about. So the match itself was fine, but that's not really the thing to get into. The thing to get into is that Mustafa Ali appeared in the crowd and then joined commentary during this match. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, cool. Mustafa Ali, he's out here, but we have seen a lot of main roster people go over to NXT and have little stints and little programs with certain people. And obviously that's what he's going to do. But then when he got on commentary, he mentions like, oh yeah, I'm a free agent. I could be on Raw. I can be on Smackdown. I can be on NXT. And I really want to go after the gold because I came so close at defeating Gunther at Night of Champions. Really great match, by the way. If you want to listen to my review, you can check that out on Busted Open. And he says, I got a taste of almost becoming a champion. And so now I'm chasing gold. And so basically letting it be known that he's here to clearly pursue the NXT North American Championship. But when he said that he was a free agent, I thought, oh shit, I completely forgot that he was a free agent. And then I tweeted that out. And then get this, someone on Twitter, thank you so much to the person on Twitter who told me that on WWE.com, I'm legitimately always on the website, yet I didn't know that on WWE.com, there is actually a free agent tab where you now know not just who's on Raw, who's on SmackDown, but you also should be aware of who is considered or who is a free agent after the draft, because we watched the draft, we followed the draft, we kept track of the draft, but let's be real, sometimes you forget who went where, who did what. So free agents tab, Baron Corbin, Brock Lesnar, which I don't think anyone forgot, Cedric Alexander, Dolph Ziggler, Elias, Mustafa Ali, MVP, Omaz, Shelton Benjamin, Von Wagner, and Zion Quinn. So just a little refresher for those of you like myself who may have forgotten who's a free agent. So after this match, we end up seeing Ali attack Joe Gacy. And so here is the thing. I'm excited for Mustafa Ali coming in here and doing something on NXT. I think this is definitely a good way to go with Ali. And the reason I say that is, they've been doing the positive Ali stuff with him on Raw. That's where we've mainly been seeing him. And I know a lot of people are fans of it. It's like the biggest thing they've done with him recently. Like the fact that they even have him doing something like Positive Ali is something, because prior to that, he wasn't doing anything. And I personally kind of find the Positive Ali character a little annoying, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But having Ali appear on NXT, I think he is one of the perfect people to go out there and have matches with people, because, during the draft, NXT lost 18 names. They lost quite a few people. And if certain guys aren't going to be, doing so much on the main roster, I don't see why they can't be in programs on NXT. I think it helps out the younger talent a lot. I think it gives them the little extra rub, and it kind of makes things entertaining for those that are tuning in to NXT. And I should have seen this coming too, because not too long ago, when was it? About a week or 2 weeks ago, Nick Khan did an interview. He's been doing the rounds and conferences and business conferences. And he was on one of the conferences. He mentioned that he wants that there's going to be more of, seeing main roster stars on NXT. This was something that he mentioned as well, and kind of mentioned, maybe not seeing NXT as just a developmental. Now I forget the exact wording, but this was something that should have been a dead giveaway when I read that, because, that should have basically told us that we were going to be seeing more main roster stars. And I want that. I want to see that. And guys like Mustafa Ali, I believe, are perfect for situations like this. I want to see Mustafa Ali versus Wesley. I don't mind seeing Mustafa Ali versus Joe Gacy. Mustafa Ali and Tyler Bate, who is legitimately one of the best wrestlers that they have on NXT. And so I think there's a lot of really great possibilities when you have stuff like this. So if you ask me, I think this is definitely a win. And we're going to talk about one more person that also appeared on NXT in just when we get to it. But I feel like for the most part here, everybody I don't see anybody here saying that they're going to, not be interested in it. A lot of people are also asking about, or some people are suggesting that Lacey Evans gets sent over to NXT. I actually think that Lacey Evans on NXT would probably be pretty all right. I mean, there's a lot, they don't really need her per se, because they do have a lot of women. However, she's a good heel. She's a natural heel. And it's very easy to want to dislike Lacey Evans. So I feel like she could probably do something there with your Roxanne Perez's of the world on NXT. So I technically wouldn't hate it. I could see Lacey Evans, being on the NXT roster or contributing to the NXT roster pretty well, based on what you guys are saying here in the comments. But we got a lot. We got Christopher Segovia, who says Ali versus Carmelo Hayes would be a great match too. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah, that would be a really great match. Are you kidding me? I'd so be into that. So be into that. All right, let's get into the Tiffybration. So Tiffany Stratton is officially your new NXT Women's Champion after defeating Lyra Valkyria at NXT Battleground. I got to watch that today. I barely caught up with Battleground today. I enjoyed the match. I already knew the finish. I already knew what was going to happen. So maybe I wasn't as surprised, but the big prediction, I think everybody kind of saw Tiffany Stratton or expected that she was going to win this match, and she did with her moonsault. Great stuff. Happy to see Tiffany Stratton become NXT Women's Champion. So with that being said, she goes out there and she does this promo, her Tiffybration, and she's got pictures of herself behind her, and this gave me major Paris Hilton vibes. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have seen Paris Hilton's house or any videos where her house is shown or her office or anything like that. This woman has pictures of herself everywhere. I love Paris Hilton, by the way, but this woman has pictures of herself everywhere. I don't blame her, though. They look great. She looks great. And so this gave me Paris Hilton vibes, which I loved because that's what Tiffany Stratton's character is supposed to be. You know, she's supposed to take influences from people like Paris Hilton and all of that, right? So she goes out there, she has her pictures, and she's saying that no one in the locker room knows what she can do and that she is what a WWE superstar is supposed to be. And then she invites all the women of the NXT roster to come out there and recognize her as a champion. Nobody comes out. So then she says, okay, fine. Well, I'm about to announce who the next person that is going to be the challenger to my championship is going to be. And so finally, all the other girls come out. So they all come out there, and she's like, my favorite line in all of this was when Tiffany told them, I know you guys are starstruck. That was great. So her saying that the roster was starstruck of her was phenomenal. But anyways, she then says that she's going to retire as champion because she's going to hold on to the championship and that no one can sit with her, channeling Mean Girls. Of course, that's what she should be doing. And then finally, she announces that next week there is going to be a number one contenders battle royale to determine her first challenger. Now, after this, some of the girls go in there and kick her butt because they're terribly annoyed of her. And this very much reminded me of Tiffany Stratton. She's a Barbie, right? She's the Barbie kind of girl. She's got the platinum blonde hair, the pink outfit. She's super cute, this and that. She is a Barbie. And this was hilarious to me because once all the girls came in there and kicked her butt, I felt like this was every other woman ever rebelling against Barbie. And so this was freaking great. So she's out there yelling, this was my moment. I hate all of you. And she's just did a great job in this, man. I was such a fan of this. But in terms of who I think is going to win that battle royale, I really think that it's going to be Thea Hale. And the reason I think it's going to be Thea Hale is we've been seeing Thea Hale. She took a class today with Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey, and she's out there trying to get a little better in her skills and this and that. And she was the first person in that ring to punch Tiffany Stratton. When all the girls went in there, she was the first person. So I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be Thea Hale. And Thea Hale loses nothing by going up against Tiffany Stratton for the title and losing. Because clearly this person's going to have to lose. This person's going to have to be lovable. You're going to want to root for this person. And that person that fits all or checks all the boxes is Thea Hale. So with that being said, my prediction is Thea Hale. Stephen Marchuli sends in a super chat saying, is it time to take the weekly show on the road? Also, a beach setting in Florida for a PLE would be cool. Well, I don't exactly know the details, but the last I recall is I think they have a deal where they're I think they have to I would love to see them go on the road. Let me be real, because the freaking PLEs that they've done on the road they've had good crowds, and the crowds are interested. And I like being in front of different crowds because sometimes with the performance center crowd, you don't always know if this is specific just to them, the way that they react to things, or if this is really what everybody feels, right? Sometimes I think people might have different opinions. And so because you're seeing the same crowd every week, it's sometimes a little hard to tell. And based on what we've been seeing on the pay-per-views, I feel like there is, the people show up, man. They show up for the pay-per-views. So, yeah, I would like to see them go on the road. But I don't know what, all the details of that entail. And let's see what else we got. This is from Chris Akane, who says Thea Hale would be good for Stratton. Size different makes good for heel versus face dynamic. That's another thing to point out. Thank you so much to Chris Akane for sending that in as well. And I'm gonna go through a couple more comments and see if anybody else has any other options here for who they might want to see in this match. And I know Gator also throws in Cora Jade. I believe she's in it. I'm not even too sure if she's in the actual Battle Royal, but because I know they put a couple of people in there. But I know for sure Thea Hale is in it. I made sure to check. All right, so she's my pick for sure. We got Zeno Hour who says Meiko Satomura. I would love to see that. But here's the thing, though. Like, I wonder how they would basically have Tiffany Stratton defeat Meiko, because with Roxanne Perez, the story between Roxanne Perez and Meiko Satomura was that Roxanne Perez was a fighter and she was willing to do anything to hold on to her NXT championship. I don't necessarily think that that's the way that they're trying to portray Tiffany Stratton. It wouldn't make sense to her character. So how would you have Tiffany Stratton defeat Meiko Satomura? You know, how would they play that out? So I don't know if it would be Meiko, but so that's the reason why she's not necessarily the person that's popping up to my mind for this one here. All right. And we got Christopher who says Tiffany Stratton versus Fallon Henley would be cool. That could be something. Definitely something. And yeah, Justin Martin says Roxanne winning seems too obvious. And we've seen Roxanne Tiffany a little bit too much now. So I think they could, put a pause on that one for a bit. Put a pause on that one. Circle back at some point later on. So yeah. All right. That's what we got there. Well, let's keep it going with the women, guys, because we got some more news for the women on NXT. And that is that we officially got the mystery attacker name, and literally everybody and their mothers, when I posed the question here, what was it, last week? Hey, who do you guys think is the mystery attacker? I just got a shit ton of comments, and every one of them said Blair Davenport, Blair Davenport, Blair Davenport, Blair Davenport. Well, to nobody's surprise, it was Blair Davenport. So the way that they did this, I thought was pretty interesting. So Danny Palmer, who is one of the people that was attacked by this mystery assailant, because this has been going on for months, by the way. We've been seeing these attacks forever. We saw it on Soruka, Wendy Chu, Nikita Lyons, Roxanne Perez, and a couple other people I'm forgetting. And so Danny Palmer is out there and she's like, I'm not going to leave the ring until we find out who this person is, blah, blah, blah. So we then see a video montage of the people who have been attacked by the mystery attacker. And then she's attacked from behind by the said mystery attacker. She takes off her hood, she takes down her mask, and it's Blair Davenport, and she is back. So I think everybody, for the most part, was happy to see her. And, it's been a while since we have actually seen Blair on here. I think the last time we saw her was when they unified the NXT UK Women's Championship and the NXT Women's Championship in the Worlds Collide pay-per-view in that three-way. So it's been a while since we have seen her. I am excited to see what she's going to bring to this division. I think she's going to do a hell of a job. We did lose quite a few women during the WWE draft, but she has a lot of other girls to kind of get in there and play with. Oh, that sounds wrong. But you know what I mean. Go in there and have some pretty good stories that they can do. I would actually like to see her and Lyra mix it up. I think that would be fun. I'm trying to think who else I would like to see her with. Off the top of my head, it's definitely Lyra, but throw in some other names here, everybody. So clearly, we're going to have to see Danny Palmer and her again. I think she should definitely go out there and have matches with whoever it is that she attacked. I was actually kind of hoping that Roxanne Perez, because the way that they promoted it was Roxanne Perez's mystery attacker is going to be revealed here today. So I was kind of hoping that Roxanne Perez was involved in the actual revealing of the mystery attacker. I think that would have been kind of cool to do, but instead they went with Danny Palmer. So that's fine. But I do think it would have hit a little bit harder if it was actually Roxanne Perez. So yeah. Heidi Ho sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho, who says, I can't believe these degenerate women would attack Tiffany and ruin her celebration. They should be heavily fined or fired. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho for the super chat. Danny Padilla sends in a generous super chat saying, haven't seen NXT in a while, but heard Ali showing up at least and they can treat him. Let me start all over. Danny Padilla says, haven't seen NXT in a while, but heard Ali showed up. At least they can't treat him any worse here than they did on the main roster. And hopefully I didn't just jinx that. Look, Danny, so that was one of the things that I said about Mustafa Ali at the top of this was, I mean, the match with Gunther was phenomenal. I love the way that they basically executed all of that, gave Mustafa Ali hope spots, made you actually think that there might have been a slight, tiny little opportunity there for him. For the most part, I don't think anyone actually thought he was going to defeat Gunther, but there was one tiny little maybe moment in that match, and I think they did a phenomenal job with that. But other than that, everything else has kind of just been there. I do think that Mustafa Ali can serve a bigger purpose, and we've seen this happen to quite a few people. When they go down to NXT, they kind of end up getting more or being able to do more and show more. Perfect examples, Dijak, Mandy Rose, Apollo Crews. Those are just a couple of people that going over or back down to the main to development to NXT legitimately kind of did them better. It did them better. So maybe we can see that for Ali, because I do think he's incredibly talented and more can be done there. More can definitely be done there. Danny, thank you so much for the generous super chat. Did I say super chap again? God damn it. I hate when I say that. Super chap. Super chat. Say it like a million times. Sometimes when you say a word too much, by like the 500th time, it doesn't come out right anymore. But all right. Let's see what else we got. Has it really been 2 years? Tony says Dolph Ziggler was the NXT World Champion 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago? No way. No way. It wasn't 2 years ago. Someone give me the date here. There was no way that was 2 years ago. Someone remind me, please. Someone please remind me, and don't tell me that was 2 years ago. It didn't feel like 2 years ago. All right. Joe Coffey versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo. Not bad. Joe Coffey gets the win. I was not happy that we didn't come out of freaking Battleground with the Creed brothers not as tag team champions. I'm starting to feel like this is a troll job. What is happening? I really wanted to see the Creed brothers come out as champions, and I was not thrilled when we didn't see them come out as champions. That's all I'm going to say about that. I was not thrilled. Man. Someone says he lost it April 2022. Okay, so it has not been 2 years. All right. It's been a year. Thank you. All right. I was about to say there was no way that could have been 2 years. No way. We got Micah here who's asking if I think Mandy Rose will return to WWE this year. I have no idea, guys. It really all just depends on, the rules about her fan time page and all of that. And that one's a hard one, guys. It's a very hard one to guess. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Let's get into our next topic here. We already talked about Tony D. Really quickly, Robert Stone wants Von Wagner to seek out a therapist, and Von Wagner is going to think about it. We get a really cool video, and finally, I get to talk about this. So, as I mentioned, I didn't get to watch NXT Battleground until today because I was at Double or Nothing, and I wasn't going to be watching Double or Nothing and the pay-per-view at the same time. That would just be weird. So, got to choose, right? And I was there. So, but afterwards, when I finally got on Twitter and I was reading people's thoughts and all of this, everybody everywhere that watched NXT Battleground was saying that freaking Ilya Dragunov and Dijak killed it, that they had a really great match. And I was thinking, God damn it, I knew they would. So whatever, right? So I finally got to watch the match here today, and last man standing. And first of all, I want to say that the build to this match was really good because they were doing these really good attacks. That was something that I remember talking about here on NXT, that I love the attacks that they did because they legitimately felt like they felt like real attacks. Like that one time when freaking Dijak squished the freaking life out of Dragunov with the garage door. Like, that was brutal. The attack that we saw on the go home show to Battleground, and both guys getting in their fair share of violence and on the other guy, that was really good. It was a contract signing. There you go, the contract signing. That was really good. So with that being said, all of the attacks and everything that they did heading into this match was really good. And I was surprised that this match, I wasn't surprised that it wasn't the main event because I knew it had to be Carmelo and Bron, but it was kind of just like in the middle of the show. And it's fine, but damn, this just had main event quality screaming all over it. They did a really great job in this, hard-hitting stuff. This was definitely the match that Dijak needed. I loved the finish to the match. I just thought that Ilya Dragunov consistently is proving that he is the guy. And it is so weird to see him on NXT when you know that he could be on the main roster having these A++ matches with just about anybody. And so, but with that being said, him being in NXT and having this match with Dijak really just prompted Dijak to another level. It made me look at Dijak differently, because the only match that I really liked with Dijak was that Wesley match from Vengeance Day. But everything else, I kind of thought, okay, he's cool and all, but that's about it. This match here elevated him just a little bit more. And the fact that everybody was talking about this match, they need to be rewarded. But anyways, we get a video package today. This was cool because it was just Ilya preparing for Battleground and this and that. And he's going to return next week. But one of the things I was thinking about during this, while we're watching this video montage, it's funny because he's this very stylish man, right? He goes out there with the suit and the turtleneck and the little chain, and he's very well groomed and very well presented. And he's very, very stylish, right? And then there's like this light switch that happens. He goes from stylish, regular man to beast, monster, killer. And I love to see that switch. That switch, I thought was captured very nicely in this video. So man, applause to this video. Loved it. Loved the match. More Ilya, please. More Ilya. Danny Padilla sends in a super chat saying, and I literally just heard Corbin is back in NXT as well. And even more reason for me to stay away. We'll talk about Baron Corbin in just a second. He's coming. I'm saving him here for the main course. But Danny Padilla, thank you so much for the super chat. All right. So Zeno Hour says Dragunov is a psychopath. I love it. Hey, man, at least he's a stylish psychopath. Got to give it to him. And Zeno Hour also says that Dijak is so underappreciated. He's getting there, guys. He's getting there. All right. Now, moving on from here. We got Cora Jade versus Ivy Nile. This was also a good one. I love the strikes from Ivy Nile during this match. Cora Jade gets the win, as she should. But I do want to point out that Ivy Nile is definitely improving. And so that's something to mention. Really quickly, we got a really hilarious backstage interaction between Tank Ledger and Hank Walker. I was not the biggest Hank Walker fan, and I don't know how many of you guys noticed this during past NXT reviews, where I kind of would brush over some of his segments a little fast, and I really didn't care about the matches. I really wasn't a fan, and I don't know, maybe it was transparent or not. I have no idea if you guys noticed that or not, but with that being said, Tank Ledger and Hank Walker are suddenly becoming, in the last 2 weeks, are becoming an act that I actually care about now. And the reason I do is because they actually have chemistry with one another. So what they did last week was they had a match between Tank Ledger and Hank Walker to basically have them get closer as a team. Hank Walker ends up winning that match, and then today they have this backstage segment that I found utterly hilarious, because so they're talking about how, like, oh my God, that really worked. We're actually so close, and Tank is like, look into my eyes, and we're so close, and this and that. And then they do this little bit where they are basically finishing each other's sentences or not finishing each other's sentences, but rather they have everything in common. So they ask a question to each other and then they both give the same answer. So it's like, what's your favorite food? And they're like, chicken parmesan. A favorite animal, honey badger. Favorite sauce, buffalo sauce. And so it worked. This was a segment that could have been very cheesy, very corny, but they actually made it work with them. So I kind of liked this bro-ship, right, that you're seeing between both of them. Really love that. But then they were interrupted by a team we haven't seen in a while. Idris Enofi and Malik Blade. And here's the thing about Idris and Malik. And for those of you who are new to NXT or just started watching, you may not know this, but they are really freaking good. And we were pretty much seen them, kick ass for quite a bit. They were never presented as like top guys on NXT or like a top tag team, but they would go out there and they always had good, entertaining matches, okay? They weren't like top acts or anything, but they were always entertaining. And then we kind of just didn't see them for a bit. I don't know what the hell was going on, but whatever. So they're back there. They interrupt them. And then they have this little thing where they're like, okay, we can also do the same thing. And they try to have the same answers as Tank and Hank, but they can't. And then they start arguing and it's really funny. And this actually worked a whole lot. So I was a fan of this. Thumbs up. I am now a Hank Walker, Tank Ledger fan. So I've been a fan for a whole 2 weeks. All right. So let's see what else we got here. Oh man, I'd be coming up with some dumb stuff on here. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue on. Wait, what? Hold on. John Deller says Tank loses teeth and great shorts, which Denise loves. You're gonna have to explain that one, John. Do I like people without teeth and great shorts? What's going on here? You're gonna have to explain that one to me. All right, so moving on from this, we got a quick what was supposed to be a Diamond Mine interview, but instead it led to a not a brawl, but they were almost going to brawl, but it was a pull apart and they never actually got to touch. So it ended up being really a screaming match between Diamond Mine and the Dyad and Ava Raine. And, Ava Raine was part of the Creed brothers not actually getting the tag team titles, and then Ivy and her having this beef. So we end up seeing them having this confrontation. Cool, but I still want to see the Creed brothers as tag team champions. So I'm still not happy about this. All right, before we get into the main event, everybody, it is that time of the day. Before we get into the main event, every Tuesday is the day that I highlight somebody that left an Apple Podcast review. I have said this before, but if you leave a review here for my podcast, I will read it on the air. I am trying to get to 100 reviews on Apple Podcasts. I'm at 29 now. So get this, every time I promote it, I at least get one more review. So today I want to go ahead and thank TayWorld02 for leaving a very generous podcast review, 5 stars, saying, I've been listening to this podcast for weeks now, and I like what I hear. Denise is a fun and uplifting spirit, and I look forward to listening every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Also, I can't believe you're not a big fan of Christmas. TayWorld02, thank you so much for taking the time to go out of your way to leave me a podcast review. I know it could be a little tedious, but if you guys just go to the description box below, the links are there to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or all of that. And every Tuesday that I get a new review, I will make sure to read it here on the show. So thank you so much for that. And now let's get into the actual main event and what happened. So earlier in the day, we had Carmelo Hayes come out and he's talking about his match with Breakker and this and that. And he's basically saying another brick has been laid down for the Mello dynasty. He is interrupted by Noam Dar, who defeated Dragon Lee at Battleground. And this all leads to a match between Noam Dar and Carmelo Hayes. And this match itself was okay. I didn't think it was bad at all. I loved the dropkick from Noam Dar to Carmelo Hayes at one point, and Carmelo Hayes, the way that he sold, that was really good. But Noam Dar had like Ora Menza out there helping him out and this and that. And so they were trying to cheat and screw Carmelo Hayes. But instead, Tyler Bate and Dragon Lee end up going out there and making sure that Carmelo Hayes doesn't get screwed. So then Carmelo Hayes hits his leg drop off the top rope and defeats Noam Dar and gets the win. Cool. I didn't mind this for it being like a filler match between, at this point, this is what I was thinking. I didn't mind this match It wasn't a bad main event, and I didn't mind it because I saw it as a filler match until we find out who Carmelo Hayes' next opponent's going to be. And I was originally going to come on here and be like, so guys, who do you think Carmelo Hayes is going to face next? And just as the show was ending, Carmelo Hayes is attacked by none other than Baron Corbin. That is right, ladies and gents. I was talking about free agents earlier. Let's not forget that Baron Corbin is also a free agent. And so Baron Corbin comes out, and for some reason, he looks more bald than ever. Something was different about Baron Corbin. Please tell me someone. Let me pull up the freaking picture. Somewhere on here, I got a picture. But Baron Corbin looked a little different to me here today, and I don't know what it is. So can someone please tell me why Baron Corbin looks different to me here today? Is he more bald? What happened? What happened here? Is it the beard? Did he have a beard? He just looks more like his face looks more naked. What happened here? I'm a fan of Baron Corbin. This is not a burial. I'm just trying to figure out why he looks more different to me. I don't know what happened. Something happened, but he just looks different. Someone says no beard. He's clean shaven. Okay, thank you. Because I was looking at him and I'm like, why does he look extra shiny during this? Like, he's glowing. The head is glowing. The face is glowing. What's happening here with Baron Corbin? But anyways, Baron Corbin comes out there. He attacks Carmelo Hayes and raises the NXT Championship belt. First thing that I want to say is do not have Carmelo. The first thing I want to say is do not have Carmelo Hayes lose to Baron Corbin the way that you guys had Bron Breakker lose to Dolph Ziggler. Do not do it. Do not do it. It will not work. I'm okay with them doing a program with Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes. Totally cool with it. I actually like Baron Corbin. A lot of the stuff that they have him do on television, not that great, but when they have him do good stuff, it can work, right? Bum-ass Corbin was fun. Broke-ass Corbin was fun. That was cool. Whatever. I think this could work. I think that Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes can have a fun feud. People know Baron Corbin. People like to talk about Baron Corbin. He's apparently really over in France. No idea why. Maybe it's the bald head or the no beard. No idea. But I'm actually do not mind them doing this feud. But again, I do not want them to take the title away from Carmelo Hayes. I want them to use this as a way to give Carmelo Hayes the rub with a main roster guy that is very known. And I don't want them to do what they did with Bron Breakker and Dolph Ziggler, because I still this day think it was a bad idea to take the title off of Bron Breakker when he had really just won it and given it to Dolph Ziggler, because I thought that really halted some of the momentum that Bron Breakker had back then. So please do not do that to Carmelo Hayes, because Carmelo Hayes is a champion that I think could be he could be great, man. I think he can be great, a great champion. And so I do think this is an exciting challenge for Carmelo Hayes, but I want to see him retain very nicely and keep that going. So yeah. All right. And let's see what we got here. Tiger Claw, who is a YouTube member, says Baron Corbin as NXT champion. Ugh. Here, I know a lot of people don't like Baron Corbin. I know it, and I don't even blame anybody for that. I really do not. But I feel like we've seen more successes of people going to NXT and doing these programs from like the main roster than we haven't. Aside from the Dolph Ziggler, Bron Breakker stuff, I wasn't a fan of that like at all. But I do not want. I don't expect him to actually defeat. I don't expect him to actually defeat Carmelo Hayes. I think that they need to just give him the rub. We got everybody saying. Tony says, you heard Denise Michaels. Zeno Hour says, don't do it, Sean. Please, Sean, don't do it. Don't do it. All right, let's get some thoughts in here, guys. What did you think of? I was gonna say Bron Breakker, of Baron Corbin. What did you think of Baron Corbin? Shit. Thank you, YT. Denise said it was Tyler Bates, but it was Nathan Frazier. Thank you for correcting me. Tyler Bates on the mind. All right. So John Deller says, kind of the same vibe as the Acclaim losing to the Guns if Baron were to win. Yeah, it is kind of a little bit of the same. And I'm looking through some more comments on here. Tim Weinerger says turtle wax on the head. Oh God, that would be terrible. That would be very, very terrible. Bron Breakker still asking about Bron Breakker getting a call up. I don't know when that's happening, guys. I have no idea. I think Shawn Michaels said on a on the media call ahead of Battleground that he was still expecting for Bron Breakker to be there for a while on NXT. So make what you will of that. But that was something that Shawn Michaels said on the media call. And this is from Justin Martin, who says that Baron Corbin was certainly a surprise. Not a good one, but yes, a surprise. I feel so bad, guys. I feel so bad. YT says, I don't remember Corbin having a beard. I think he did. He had like a scraggly one. You know, like he did have one. He definitely did have one. So who knows? Joey Grella says Denise isn't the dirt sheet boy. I am certainly not the dirt sheet boy. There you go, guys. Baron Corbin in NXT. I don't hate it. Just don't take the title off of Carmelo Hayes. If it were to happen, though, I promise you I will be singing a different tune here on this podcast the next time we talk about it. So hopefully they don't. But next week we are going to be seeing Eddie Thorpe versus Damon Kemp. I don't want to see Damon Kemp lose. Give Damon Kemp the win, man. I'm a fan of Damon Kemp, and I kind of feel like he's a little underrated, and I don't like that. So push Damon Kemp. I'm a fan. Also, we're going to be getting the number one contenders battle royal to find out who is going to be Tiffany Stratton's next opponent. And for those of you who missed it earlier, my prediction is Thea Hale. But there you go, everyone. That was the May 30th edition of NXT. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Tweet me, YouTube comment me, whatever it is. Feel free to reach out. I read everybody's comments. Even if I don't respond, I read the stuff, everybody. I read everything. So make sure you guys go ahead and give some love there. I will be here tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. That's going to be the fallout from Double or Nothing. So you're not going to want to miss that. And then, of course, I will be back this Friday to finally talk about Smackdown. Please, if you haven't already, go check out those AEW Double or Nothing media scrums. That is how I make my money back, everybody. So please go there, watch them. If you want, have them in the background. I don't care. Just get them clicks on there, guys. I need them clicks. Thank you, everybody. And I will see you back here tomorrow for AEW Dynamite.